Hey everyone, welcome back. It's the Filmsmiths. I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
And today we're bringing you a WrestleMania special Fatal 4-Way film review.
Punching and punching, wrestle. I'ma smash you.
Stuff it! The review isn't actually going to be about wrestling, but we're filming this on the day of WrestleMania, so I'm wearing my Randy Orton t-shirt. Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, gonna be a pretty good wrestling match.
And I'm wearing my wrestling sweater.
So we're going to talk about a movie for a little while, and then we're going to have two other people talk about the same movie for a little while after that. That movie, It Follows.
Also known as Spooky STD, the movie.
So It Follows is a horror movie that made the big festival circuits, directed by David Robert Mitchell, starring a girl named Micah, or perhaps Micah Monroe.
Probably Micah, but who really knows?
Mm-hmm. And basically, you don't know a lot about it even while you're watching it, but the basis of it is there is a monster of sorts that...
I call it a monster.
That is essentially sexually transmitted, and when you're it in this game of sex tag, it follows you until you're dead.
Yeah, basically it's sort of a zombie, because it just like walks.
It walks quite slow.
But it follows you, and it doesn't stop ever. And if it catches you, then it kills you. Basically the only way to get it to stop following you
is to pass it on to someone else.
And then it'll start following them, but then if it kills them, then it goes back to you, and there's basically just this long line of people who have passed it on to other people, and it's pretty spooky.
Kind of like how in Final Destination, if you cheat death another time, it goes back across the line and will eventually come back to you. You just try and keep passing it further and further down the line, but eventually it's going to come right back to you. Now, most people didn't really know anything about this except for everyone who saw it at all of the festivals said, best horror movie in years. And that's about all I knew. I heard, best horror movie in years, saw one trailer and went, Here's the first thing that happened once the credits started rolling, for me at least.
Oh, it's real spooky.
Typically, and we've talked about this before on this channel, I don't like most horror movies because I think they're dumb.
Because they're bad.
And they're definitely not scary, because cheap jump scares don't count as real scares. But this film does what any good horror movie, in my and also your opinion, should do, is it builds such strong tension. There is tension almost non-stop throughout the whole movie. And as soon as the credits roll, you realize you haven't been breathing for 100 minutes and also you're dead.
Yeah, it's very... Tension is the name of the game, and it does it super well. You know, there's... Jump scares are not this movie's game, and that's great.
Yeah. There are a couple of them, but I also felt like they were earned.
Also, something that's rare with horror movies is that this one was actually like a well-made film.
Oh yeah, the cinematography for one was remarkable.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
Very impressive. First shot of the movie is, very nice tracking shot of a lady running away, and you learn later on like what the situation is with all that. But it's very well done, very nice to watch, and it's a great movie.
Shot in and around Detroit, Michigan, and we are from Michigan, so that was super cool.
I recognized many of the places, because that's back where I'm from.
I recognized a couple. The score is all synthesizer, but like it's borderline 1980s electronic, but it was mesmerizing. I barely know how to describe it, and we've been talking about this movie nonstop since we saw it. Let me say that. Yeah, we saw this last night. We're recording this on a Sunday. We saw it on a Saturday night, and we have not stopped talking about it because it was that good. But the score did so much for building the tension, just keeping the emotions strong. It really does throw back to a lot of those late 70s, early 80s horror / slasher films, but in a really, really solid way. Hey, we got some special guests that we mentioned before. You're going to see them in right about now.
That's Chris, and I'm Abby, and we are the other half of this particular review for It Follows. I was incredibly impressed with It Follows.
I was also impressed.
It Follows was really great for a scary movie in terms of the tension that it built, the fear that just kind of grew throughout the entire thing. There was a point after that one very, not random, but like way out of place scene with the girl on the beach in the beginning.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, oh, that was odd. I guess we're getting that out of the way first. But there was a point after the established storyline kind of came through where I was just tensed. Every muscle in my body was tensed up. And I kept, like, biting my scarf, so I had a reason to, like, look away when I thought something scary was going to happen. And it didn't, and it made it so much worse. And it was just great in terms of that roller coaster effect between toying with your fear and then delivering an actually scary thing, which was just seeing the person walking at you.
See, I was excited the whole time, because from start to finish, you had no clue where the movie was going. Mm. It was just, it starts off, this woman is being chased, and, like, she's acting like nothing's wrong. Mm-hmm. She's just running around the street, and people are asking her, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine," but clearly she isn't. And then, boom! 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 Pow! The Black Eyed Peas song down on a beach.
And one of the other interesting things about the creature, the fact that no one who hasn't had it passed to them can see it. So if I am the one who is in this chain and I'm being followed by it, and Chris is there with me, and I point at that person and said, "Can you see that?" If it is the creature, Chris can't see him. But it can interact with you, though. So you can't see it.
I can't see it.
But it can hurt you.
But also, if you can see it, it never looks like the same thing.
Right.
It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So that, like, if you're out at the park with your friends, somebody could just be walking towards you, or it's the thing, and you don't know, so you're constantly on edge. Mm-hmm. It becomes hard to be in society.
It was a very creative way to scare the hell out of people.
Oh, yeah.
It stuck with you.
Oh, yeah.
And even when we finished watching it, we went out to dinner, and at every single time, we ended up coming back to talk about the movie and the logistics of it and what we would do. And I think that having a takeaway like that is very impressive.
Yeah, it had you engaged from the moment it started till, like, hours later.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, when we were talking about it a little earlier, you mentioned the juxtaposition between It Follows and movies like A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, the music, just the really shrill, shrapnel-sounding synth. And it's very, teenagers roaming around, something about sex, Johnny Depp, meat sauce. No, but, like, the style of music and the aesthetic. Mm-hmm. It had that thing where you never knew what time period this was supposed to take place in.
That drove
because
us so
the
crazy.
Furnishings were like 70s and the TVs were like 60s. They were old, colorless TVs. But then the girl has like a Kindle on like a pocket mirror.
Seashell. Yeah.
Like a seashell pocket mirror. But she's here, flipping through a book.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just like, "Oh yeah, frickin' Creature from the Black Lagoon is on, that's normal."
Yeah.
But then they were driving cars, and some were like beat up old station wagons, and one was like Pontiac.
Yeah.
Like from like 2008. And
Yeah.
you just be you're like, what year is it? And it drove you crazy, and they never addressed it.
Yeah.
It was just sort of there to add to this, illusion.
It was great.
Time for the review!
So, in summary, I thought It Follows was terrific. It was shot gorgeously. The soundtrack was mesmerizing. I loved the feeling of this creature, and the chase of it felt exactly like a nightmare where something is coming at you slowly and you still don't know how to avoid it. I was completely sucked in. I'm going to buy this as soon as I can and watch it again just because I loved the entire atmosphere of it. I give It Follows an 8.5 out of 10.
My final thoughts, I really liked the movie. I loved the music. I loved the cinematography. It was very pretty. It was a clever story. I'd give it 7.5 out of 10.
So as the resident spooktacular for the Filmsmiths, I was really into this. It wasn't relying too heavily on jump scares. It had great soundtracking, and I thought that the concept was beyond terrifying. It really played into my instinctual primal fear, and I was really into that. I am going to give It Follows an 8.5.
So for my review, Basically, if you're looking to get spooked real good, then look no further than the spooktacular It Follows. For my spooky review, I'm gonna give it 1,000 spooks. Because it's spooky.
So if you were able to see It Follows, definitely let us know what you thought of the movie in the comment section below, perhaps.
Tell us how spooked you were.
Because you know how spooked I was? Very.
Man.
If you'd like to talk to us via social media, perhaps about your thoughts on this film, there are going to be some social media handles all up in the description box below. Perhaps
You know
4 social media handles. Get it?
Wrestling. It's our wrestling episode. We got all the pile drivers and all the
How many more wrestling terms do you know?
chairs, ladders, ladder match, pile drivers, finishing moves,
I'll just let that one slide.
jorts.
If you have any suggestions for films we should review in the future, also let us know about those, and we'll see them and talk about them.
The Marine. Any movie starring Rock the Dwayne Roxon. John Roxon
Cena.
the Dwayne.
That about wraps it up for this one. I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
See you next time. Wrestling!